Ralston, makers of Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, Instant Ralston, and Rye Crisp. The Ralston Purina Company of famous Checkerboard Square in St. Louis, Missouri presents the exciting television game, The Name's the Same. And now let's meet our panel of famous names. Lovely radio and television actress Joan Alexander. That man with a grin, Gene Rayburn. And now, a name everybody knows, the moderator and MC of The Name's the Same, Dennis James.
Thank you very much, everybody. Hi, once again, we say welcome to you to play Names the Same with us. We hope to have a lot of laughs here tonight, some interesting quizzing by our panel, and we hope perhaps tonight we can stump this panel just a little bit. You all know you're competing against one another, right?
Right.
Got your checkbooks ready and your pens in hand.
Yes, sir.
Competing against one another. You have 10 questions apiece. The person who correctly guesses that name of the person sitting here keeps his money. The rest of you have to write out the checks. I think it's clear enough. Let's start quick. Here we go. The first guest with a famous name. Here we are. Won't you sit down, please? A pretty one. Now, would you tell us first, not what your name is, honey, but just where you're from, will you?
From Belle Plaine, Iowa.
Do you go to school out there, or?
Yes, it's the University of Iowa.
Okay, swell. Now, that's as far as we're going to go. I'd like to explain that we're sending out $10 to Mrs. Maud Ray of Los Angeles, California, for submitting this name. And we'll show our audience at home now exactly what that famous name is. So let's take a look at it. Tricky, eh? All right, now let's go. We'll start with Roger Price. You have 10 questions, Rog.
Miss X, are you alive?
No.
Were you ever alive?
Yes.
Were you an American?
Yes.
Were you a character that is associated with some famous incident in our history? In the history books we might have read about you, yes.
No.
Now, rephrasing that question, in history books, might you have read about?
Her.
Yes, but you didn't say that. You said one specific incident, Raj. Now, which do you want?
Oh, I see.
I suppose you want the one that gave you the yes answer. Yes, I know.
Are you a female?
No.
Were you a military man?
No.
I pass.
All right, Bess?
Did you hold a government position?
No.
Laugh.
Snicker. Just a snicker.
Were you connected with politics in any way?
No.
Tell me, did you live in the 20th century?
No.
In the last 200 years?
Oh, yes, yes.
In the last 200 years. I passed it.
Oh, wait, that was kind of confusing. Did you say no to the 20th century?
That's right. She said no to the 20th century.
So, but I presume then that she lived, let's say, like 175 years ago.
Presume anything your little heart desires. If it confuses you, that makes us very happy, Gene.
Well, now, I hate to suggest anything to someone as pretty as you, but are you kind of an unsavory character? I mean,
He changed his favorite word tonight, you see. Usually it has some ridiculous-sounding thing like, are you notorious, you know. Is that what you mean tonight, Gene?
Yes.
Okay. Answer his question, hon. Are you notorious?
Yes.
Yes.
You are notorious. Were you a famous robber of some kind?
Yes.
Now, has it been established that you were an American? Yes, it has. Well, the famous robbers that I know about in history offhand were men associated with the West. Were you somebody like Jesse James?
You sure was.
Good boy.
Hallelujah.
We thought that would be very confusing because it's a very pretty young lady. When I say pretty, I mean pretty because you just won a big contest out there, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
What was the contest?
Miss University of Iowa.
Miss University of Iowa. How's it feel to be on television coast to coast? Strange kind of feeling, is it, or a nice kind of feeling?
Kind of nice.
Well, it certainly was a pleasure having you here. I'm sure that you've stolen nothing but the men's hearts in your lifetime. Jesse, thank you ever so much. Pick up your checks from all of the people except Gene. Thank you on behalf of Ralston for playing names of song.
Nice to see you.
To coin a phrase, Rayburn, that's one time when that word of yours stayed you in good stead. You've been asking that as long as I've been on the show. Are you notorious? And today it worked.
You know why, Dennis?
Why?
Because all his ancestors were notorious.
You know, I know his whole family practically. Friends, if you'd like to come down here and see the show in person and play the game before we go on the air, have some fun, win yourself some prizes, all you have to do is write to us. Write to names the same, ABC TV, New York 23, New York. Now, before we meet our next guest with a famous name, here's a word from my good friend Bob Shepard. He's over there in Checkerboard Square, so here he is.
Thank you very much, Denny. You know, friends, this is one commercial where I'm not going to ask you to buy a package of our sponsor's product. Because I like to think that you probably have a box of Rye Crisp on hand in your kitchen. Go shopping tomorrow to bring home some cheese. Now, I don't care what brand or type it is. You just get the kind you like best. Whether it's American or Swiss or cream cheese or whatever. Now then, when you get it home, here's what I want you to do. You just take some of that cheese, and you put some of that cheese on one of your Rye Crisp crackers like that, see? And then you just try it. Now, if you don't agree that cheese and Rye Crisp honestly are gooder together, well, I will be a monkey's uncle. Yes, friends, that's the offer we make, no strings attached. If you don't agree that cheese and Rye Crisp really are gooder together, well, you just write me a letter. From that time forward, I shall be a monkey's uncle. Now, this is known as our Uncle Back Guarantee. So, how can you lose, Remember now, that's Rye Crisp, the smorgasbord cracker in the checkerboard package.
All right, thank you, Bob, very, very much. Now, panel, we're going to do one of those things again that always confuses Rayburn. We're not going to try to find the name of a person this time. Once again, I would have to say the way you phrased it, yes, you could find
I could.
one on a breakfast.
Might I squeeze half a dozen of these before breakfast?
Well, I know you well enough that I can answer that for her, Bill, and say no, you wouldn't.
No. I was thinking perhaps if it wasn't an orange, would one of these a day keep the doctor away?
No, I don't think so.
No?
Nope. 5 questions.
Would this perchance be something that would grow on the ground?
Well, yes, I guess they could.
Are they often fried?
Well, I have to slowly. He didn't hear you, Bess. Are they often fried?
Well, I don't believe I ever saw one fried.
Well,
I'll pass to my unsafe
Jane?
friend.
This thing that's raised on a farm, is this a member of the animal kingdom?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Really? You ever find them in a barn?
Yes?
Are some of them big and floppy?
Well, I'd say so, yes.
Really? Well, now, can you make them happy with a pail of garbage?
Well, I don't...
it's a weird thought, isn't it?
I don't believe I ever saw one eating garbage.
Oh, well, then it's, I thought it might be a pig.
We know what you thought it might be.
Well, it's not a pig. Is it more attractive than a pig?
Well, I would say so. Some of them are.
Is this, by any chance, a two-legged animal?
Yes, yes. Sir.
Really? Does it ever fly?
Yes, it can fly on an airplane.
Does a good one lay an egg every day?
It's a good thing you didn't hear what he said. I would have never gotten that line from you. Does a good one lay an egg every day?
I don't believe they do. All them human beings.
I think you would have to, yes.
It's a certain type of human being?
Yes.
I see. And is it male, or can it be either? Answer yes or no. Roger knows all about that, so I'll pass to him.
All right, Roger.
Is this the type of person classified because of his marital state there?
No.
Is it a family type relationship type name, like Grandpa.
No. Didn't you hear how vehemently I said no to you, Roger? I don't want to throw you way off the beam. You said, is it because of his marital state?
Does it have in-law in it?
No.
It's nothing like...
Now Joni knows and it's too late.
What is it? It's nothing like cousin, brother, uncle, aunt. None of those names. It is...
I'm afraid...
Would I be one of these things?
I don't know, Raj, to be honest with you. I never did find out.
Father.
What?
Father.
Father, no.
Bachelor.
Bachelor is right, yes. Well, here's, I kind of took it away from Bill there for a minute, as I know we were running very long on that particular one. I thought you were getting close, but you said, does it have to do with your marital state? And I didn't want to say the lack of it, you know. All right, so we want to show everybody now a grown-up enlarged postal stamp to authenticate this town out there in Missouri. So let's let all the folks look at that right now, can we? There it is. Now, we'll talk to Mr. Dillard for just a second and find out what you do out there. So what do you do?
Well, I'm a farmer and a substitute mail carrier.
Then what's the population of this town?
About 20.
About 20? How'd it get its name?
Well, there were two old bachelors settled there, I understand, years ago, and that's the way it got his name.
From those two bachelors. Are there any bachelors there now of the 20 that you know of?
Oh, yes, there's still bachelors.
Are there?
Yes.
I'm going to ask you a question. Are you one of them?
Sure.
How you like that? Dillard, thank you very much. On behalf of the Orphan folks, pick up your check. From everybody. There you are. To the people. I don't know quite what to do with you that time, Raj. All right, now let's carry on here. I'd like you to meet our guest star here tonight. I think you're going to get a real kick out of meeting this gentleman. Known around the world in the field of modern art, the celebrated painter, Mr. Salvador Dalí. Now, Salvador, before we start and play our little game with you, I just want to say that I've been reading some very nice things about you of late. You're now designing jewelry, too, are you not?
I just finished one complete collection of electronic jewels.
Electronic jewels?
The diamonds jumping and romping in every direction.
I see, kind of like your paintings with things suspended all over.
Completely in dynamic form.
Wonderful. I'm very anxious to see them. They're on display someplace, an exhibit, or are they for sale, or what?
No, it's just complete.
I see.
Sometimes.
I see. All right, now let's play our game. This is something that's a wish that Mr. Dalí has. All right, Joan, we're going to start with you now. Remember, this is something Salvador would like to see.
This thing you'd like to see, Mr. Dalí, does it involve something artistic?
Almost artistic.
Almost, I would say, definitely.
Definitely artistic?
Thank you.
Does it involve something tangible? Could I hold it in my hand?
Yes, it's possible.
I could. Well, could you describe this as a work of art? I thought it was something to do with Mr. Dalí's jewelry.
No, it is not. Roger?
Is this something to do with something that might cause people to ask you how you fixed for blades?
You understand that, Mr. Dalí? Yeah.
Is it something to do with that tremendous mustache, which is a book out on now, isn't it? The mustache?
Yes.
The mustache?
Yeah, two questions there.
That is something to do with the mustache. You'd like to see something happen to the mustache. You'd like to see it get clear around so you can tie it in the back?
No. Silly as it sounds, Roger, that is not as silly as it sounds when we come up to a point later. Go ahead.
Someone who would not normally be wearing the mustache. You would like to see the mustache on someone who would not normally wear one.
Who else besides Salvador Dalí normally wears it?
True, yeah. Is somebody in show business?
Is it somebody in show? It could be. It would have to encompass him. Yes, 3 questions.
Okay, I pass.
Would it be a male that you would like to see this mustache on? I presume, since you said that Joan would tear the roof down. Would it be a male that you'd like to see this mustache on?
Yes.
Yes. Would it be a gentleman right here on this panel?
This is what time you're getting fucked, kid. No. Yes, we have to include, yes.
It's not Jean again? No. Would it be Roger?
Yes, it's Gene and Roger.
Both of them? You would like to see a mustache very similar to yours on both Gene and Roger?
Yeah, but that's not the end of it.
What about Dennis?
And Dennis?
That's not the end of it.
And me?
No, that's the end of it. No, go, you're so close. I'm going to have to give it to you.
He's going to put it on.
Right. On all men.
Oh.
On all men. Roger, you happen to mention a book about Salvador Dali's mustache. Here it is, Dali's mustache, Salvador Dali, and Philippe Holzman. And he's got a technique now for putting mustache on women. So it's not so funny what you said. And this is full of some weird pictures. In the back here it says...
Transparent mustache for woman.
not on me. Wait a minute. Io faccio tutte cose, tutta la mustache. Io, qui, stand here. No, Gene, over here. Now, you stand here and you stand here. No, don't have to face the audience right now. No. Turn your back. That's all right. I know you've had this straight stage training and all, but turn your back just the same.
Am I seeing straight?
And we make...
Excellent.
Very good, huh? I'd make myself. Good.
Excellent. Improve.
All right, now you may turn around, gentlemen.
Wow. Mine is drooling.
Mr. Dolly, no? No?
It's possible improve myself. One moment.
Don't laugh. Forgot to tell you, this is indelible.
Let me just touch it. How you like this kettle of fish? 2 of them. You'll have to just forgive me for a moment. Oh, this business of show business with all the makeup and everything. Hey, it comes off all right. You can't bear to look at this much longer, though. I mean the face, Rayburn.
Dennis, you said that they had discovered a way to put mustaches on women.
Yes, he said...
What I want to know is that they discovered a way to take them off.
I have to take these off right now because I am about to read to you a note from our sponsor. And I wouldn't want to do anything silly like have a mustache and stuff on at that time. Let's see if I can find this note quickly. It says here, all right, good. May we. Now you're saying it. I don't want you to get the wrong idea about this Ralston dinosaur. I don't want you to think a bowl full of steaming hot Ralston even slightly resembles a fillet of Brontosaurus or a dinosaur stew or anything like that. Matter of fact, this hot Ralston has a nice, nutty wheat flavor that, well, it's completely unlike anything else you've ever tasted, dinosaurs included. Furthermore, I can tell you this for sure, for dang sure, that you cannot get a live dinosaur for 25 cents plus a hot Ralston box top. The idea of the dinosaur, and I guess you know this, is simply to attract your attention to the hot Ralston when you enter your favorite neighborhood store. Now, as far as I'm concerned, you can completely ignore Mr. Dinosaur. Pay no attention to him at all, as long as you pay attention to this, the hot Ralston. Okay? In just 10 seconds. Now, either way, you're going to find it is good. You'll find that it's the famous hot cereal from Checkerboard Square. Hot Ralston. All right? I would have loved to have stayed with you fellas, really, with the mustaches.
You look like
but I just didn't want to take away anything from the dinosaur. Let's carry on here with our next guest with a famous name. Here he is. Won't you sit down? All right. Now, let's start with Gene Rayburn. Gene, we only got a couple of minutes for this.
Okay, are you living?
Yes.
Are you a male?
Yes.
Are you an American?
Are you an American?
Yes.
He always talks like that when he has a mustache on.
Living American male, are you in the arts?
Yes.
Are you known for your work primarily in motion pictures?
Yes.
Are you a juvenile lead? Are
Good
you
question, huh?
Are you a juvenile delinquent? Are you...
No. To you, Joni, yes.
Yes?
Yes. But not really to anybody else.
Not really to anybody
Nope.
else. Now, that's odd, isn't it? Above the neck?
I would have to say it's the whole thing.
What?
The whole thing.
The whole thing is distinguished to me.
Yeah. If you're a girl, you a girl? Then it is.
You bet I'm a girl.
You can say that again, can't
Yes, you can.
All right.
I pass.
You pass. All right,
You have a
Roger?
distinctive way of talking, sir. You can be mimicked.
Yes.
Are you Clark Gable?
No.
Jimmy Stewart?
No.
Tyrone Power?
No.
Robert Taylor?
No.
You got 100 to go.
Gary
Go ahead,
Cooper.
man.
Me? Me?
No.
Gary Cooper?
Yes.
Very, very good. How can you answer, Joan, whether or not Gary Cooper has distinguishing characteristics? I think the girls...
All the girls just think.
Sure.
That's all.
Look at it when he stands up now. Pay attention to him. He's very tall. He's just like the real Gary Cooper. You get $60 from the Ralston folks. Thank you for playing the game. Everybody but Roger Price. Mr. Cooper, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
There
you are, Gary Cooper.
He's a big one.
All right, now we're going to have an accounting from you people in just a second. But first, I just want to say this. We'd like to know from you folks about famous names of people, places, and things now as a way of getting $10 if you send that name in to us and we use it on the air. If it's a person, make sure that you include the name and address and phone number, will you? Just address it to, name's the same, ABC TV. Right now, I got mine off. Salvador Dalí paints with his. This is Dennis James speaking for the Ralston folks, the Ralston Purina Company out in Checkerboard Square in St. Louis, Missouri, saying bye-bye. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Travel arrangements for the names the same are made for United Airlines, the nation's fastest airline, less than 8 hours coast to coast in United's luxurious new DC-7 mainline. The names the same has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Codman production. Executive producer, Peter Arnell. Names the same, brought to you by the Ralston Purina Company.
See Stop the Music tomorrow night on ABC Television Network.